I'm going to tell you what is about to happen.
This is my Father's word.
I think that the path to that is absolute and uncompromising surrendering to a higher power, things that are beyond my control. No, I don't know how much credit I can take. I think God put me in his path for a reason. And to kind of watch him go through this evolution has been just a joy. And you know,
there are stories that make you think, and then there are stories that make you feel. The Chosen is one of those rare gems that do both. It's not just a show, it's an invitation into the life of Jesus, seen through the eyes of those who walked with him. And at the heart of it all is Jonathan Roumie, the man who steps into the sandals of Christ himself. But something happened on that set, something words can barely hold. There was a moment, a breath in time, when Jonathan didn't just play Jesus, he felt him. And that changed everything.
Your perspective on this, because we haven't talked a ton about the beginning. We talk a lot about the process, but...
Yeah. Well, to go back to the two thieves, I was really interested in that film and reading for the role of the thief, the penitent thief, and I thought I had a pretty decent audition, and then when I got a call a couple days later, to read for Jesus, my first reaction was like, oh, but he's got like 5 lines. Like,
well, I got the supporting role.
The Chosen series started with a simple idea, to tell the story of Jesus in a way that felt real, raw, and personal. Dallas Jenkins, the creator and director, had hit rock bottom in Hollywood. But when doors closed, a window opened.
For the next few months, I'm like, well, what's my future? Now, I happen to be, we won't get into this, but I happened to be working at a church in Illinois at this time. So I had made certain movies, but they had hired me to come make movies within the context of this large church in Illinois. And so one of the things that I had done previously was for Good Friday services or for Christmas services at this huge church of 12,000 people, which had huge Good Friday services, 8 of them over the course of 2 days for 2,000 people per service. My task was to make these short films or vignettes about Jesus. And so going back as far as, 2012, I was doing these little, like it's where I met Jonathan Roumie, who plays Jesus in The Chosen,
Instead of going the traditional route, he took a leap of faith. He turned to the people, and the people answered. Through crowdfunding, The Chosen became the largest fan-supported TV project in history. But this wasn't just about raising money. This was about raising hearts. The show stripped away the stained glass distance, giving us a Jesus who laughs, cries, and meets people right where they are. We see Matthew's anxiety, Mary Magdalene's pain, and Peter's pride. It's not polished, it's human. That's the power of The Chosen. It's not preaching at you, it's walking with you. And that honest storytelling created a ripple the world wasn't ready for.
Me never forget that though the wrong seems off so strong.
The hour is coming.
When casting began for Jesus, Dallas Jenkins knew it had to be someone different. Not just an actor who could memorize lines, but a soul who could carry the weight of the role. That's when Jonathan Roumie walked in, and it wasn't his look that magneted Jenkins. It was his presence, quiet, calm, and yet full of something deeper. A kind of stillness you don't learn in acting school.
A successful career as an actor, and they weren't working. I was on government assistance. That ran out. I woke up completely broke one morning 6.5 years ago, and I was literally it was just, I didn't see any way out that I could figure out how to make work. And so I literally said, God, you take this from me. It's in your hands now. It's not up to me, and I'm not going to worry about it.
Jonathan wasn't a stranger to playing Christ. He had done it in small skits before. But The Chosen was different. This was longer, deeper, more demanding, and Jonathan felt the gravity of it. He prayed, he fasted, he dug into scripture, not just as an actor, but as a believer. He brought his own struggles and questions to the role. And somehow, as the cameras rolled, those lines between Jonathan and Jesus began to blur. What started as a role became something sacred.
What is about to happen?
This is my Father's word. Oh, let me never forget that though the wrong seems off so strong.
The hour is coming.
There was something different in the air where The Chosen was filmed. Something more than the dirt roads and the rugged stones underfoot. It was the silence between takes, the stillness that lingered long after cut was called. Filming took place in places that looked and felt like first-century Galilee, with a full-scale replica of Capernaum built brick by brick in the dusty heat of Texas. The sun would hang low in the sky, casting golden light across the set like a quiet blessing.
I invented it.
Could I?
But it wasn't the landscape alone. It was the people, cast, crew, background extras. Everyone knew they weren't just making a show. They were stepping into sacred ground. There were moments when laughter broke out on set, sure, but there were also times when tears flowed with no script prompting them.
I'm not always confident to speak.
Slow to speak. It's a very good quality.
To ask you a question.
Please?
You're sending us out with the ability to heal the sick and lame. Yes, that is what you said.
Yes.
So you're telling me that I have the ability to heal. Forgive me, I just find that difficult to imagine my condition, which you haven't healed.
Occasionally, a grip would pause mid-task, overcome by a line spoken off camera. A camera operator would set down the rig with trembling hands, whispering, "Did you feel that?" They weren't just filming stories of miracles. Sometimes, it felt like one was happening right there among them. Something unseen, but deeply felt. As if heaven leaned in a little closer during those days. And nobody left the same. During the filming of the Sermon on the Mount, hundreds of extras had gathered on a hillside, dressed in robes and linen, waiting for their cue. The heat pressed down heavily, and a hush settled over the valley like a blanket. Cameras rolled. Jonathan Roumie stood before them, portraying Jesus delivering words that would one day shake the world.
You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist the one who is evil. And if anyone should slap you on your right cheek, turn and give him the other one also.
And if anyone would sue you and take your tunic, let them have your cloak as well.
But something shifted. Jonathan later shared that. As he spoke those words, he stopped acting. It was like time slowed, and the words weren't just leaving his mouth. They were pouring out of his soul. He wasn't pretending to be Jesus anymore. For a few sacred moments, he felt visited, seen, held by something greater than himself.
It is, 7 years ago, I was a stand-in for 2 seasons on an HBO show, and then, we just kind of clicked and kept in touch, and next thing I know, here we are, and he's getting baptized, and it's, God bless him. You can never predict God and how he's going to work in and through people, and everybody's at a crossroads at some point in their lives, and all I hope to ever do is to just support and be a faithful witness and an example. And
He described it as overwhelming, like being filled with light and broken open at the same time. His knees almost gave out. There was no sound, just the beating of his heart and the weight of those words echoing inside him. The camera kept rolling, but Jonathan, he wasn't on set anymore. He was on holy ground.
I'm going to worry about it. And I was relieved because I really felt now it wasn't my choice. And then 3 months later, The Chosen comes along. And I thought, okay, I just needed to submit.
I know that you're a practicing Catholic.
Yeah.
What does your faith allow you to give to the role that a non-believer or a non-Catholic might not be able to give?
I feel that it lends an authenticity to the role.
After the scene wrapped, he stepped aside, tears streaming. He couldn't speak. Crew members approached quietly, many of them crying too, not knowing why. They just felt it. Something had happened. Something beyond explanation. Later, Jonathan would say it was one of the most spiritual experiences of his life. That moment didn't just change how he acted, it changed how he prayed, how he walked, how he believed. He carried that encounter into every scene that followed. And for those who watched him, whether on set or on screen, it showed. Because when the sacred brushes against the human, something eternal lingers. Soon after Jonathan had his powerful encounter during the Sermon on the Mount scene, word spread quickly among the crew. People who've been working on film sets for decades said they had never felt anything like it. Some stepped away to collect themselves. Others stayed still, like they were standing in church. Fellow actors noticed a shift. Haraz Patel, who plays Matthew, mentioned feeling a strange stillness during certain scenes, like the air had grown thick with presence.
I say to you, everyone who is angry with his brother will be liable to judgment.
That whole moment has wrecked him because he's really, as Matthew, he really seeks to learn. He just wants to understand things, and the way he asks them may not be the most finessed.
It's very good, Matthew.
When you said to be reconciled to your brother, can you elaborate on
Matthew, perhaps we can talk about this some other time.
He truly wants to learn, so while he's listening to the words of Jesus in the sermon, he's realizing things that he needs to rectify.
Liz Tabish, who plays Mary Magdalene, once shared that she'd burst into tears during a take. Not because the script called for it, but because something deeper touched her heart in the moment. And it wasn't just isolated moments either. There were nights when cast members would sit together after filming, not rehearsing lines, but praying, talking about life, opening up in ways they never expected on a production set. Even the crew, camera operators, sound engineers, set builders, began treating their work differently. It wasn't just another job anymore. There was reverence in every detail, in how the sand was brushed from a robe, in how the lights were positioned to glow just right. Something holy was unfolding, and they all knew it. When The Chosen began airing, something extraordinary started happening beyond the set. Viewers from every walk of life began writing in, sharing how the show wasn't just entertaining, it was healing something deep within them. People spoke of tears they couldn't explain, of finding peace they hadn't known in years. Some wrote about turning their lives around, forgiving old wounds, or even stepping back into faith after years of feeling distant. And at the center of much of this response was Jonathan Roumie's performance.
Yeah. If you were to have a cup of coffee with Jesus, what's that one question you would ask?
How did I do?
Wow.
Did I get it close?
That's good. That's really good. Now, some of the... you got me.
Yeah, me too. It's a good question.
Going on.
Roumie didn't just play Jesus. He invited people to feel him. His calm eyes, his gentle smile, the depth in his voice, it all felt real. Viewers said it was like seeing Jesus for the first time, not as a figure from stained glass, but as someone who might sit with him at the kitchen table and say, I see you. Roumie's own faith, his personal encounter on set, gave a pulse to the performance. And that heartbeat reached across screens and time zones, across languages and denominations. It bridged the ancient with the now, the sacred with the struggling. In a world hungry for meaning, The Chosen offered something simple and profound, a glimpse of grace through a face that felt like home.
But this Chosen's that they made it's like through the roof how many people have watched this show.
What is it about?
Christ. And it was Jesus. I think it's through the perspective of the people. Most things are through Jesus' perspective, and this is through the people that around theirs perspective. I don't know a ton. I've only seen like a little. I haven't got to watch the whole thing, but it's got the views of it. It was. I think you can buy it on Amazon now. But they just made their own app.
The success of The Chosen has opened a new chapter in how faith-based media is viewed, not just by religious communities, but by the broader world of entertainment. For decades, Christian storytelling was often boxed into cliches or low-budget efforts that struggled to reach hearts beyond the choir. But The Chosen changed that perspective. By blending cinematic quality with deeply personal performances, the series showed that spiritual storytelling can be both powerful and relatable. Jonathan Roumie's genuine connection to his role, fueled by moments like his divine encounter on set, brought a depth that can't be manufactured. It reminded filmmakers and viewers alike that when a story comes from a place of truth, it lands differently. It lingers. Producers, screenwriters, and actors are now taking note. There's a growing hunger for content that doesn't just preach, but touches something sacred inside. Projects that dare to show doubt, humanity, and hope. Ones that allow the spiritual to unfold naturally through lives and eyes we recognize.
Times, being such a flawed and sinful human being on this planet, and like, how did I end up here, and why am I deserving of this opportunity? I've struggled for many years as an actor here, and I've never struggled with my faith per se, but I've had moments where, as we all do, where I'm questioning God. I'm like, well, why are you bringing me through all of this if it's not going to amount to something,
Jonathan Roumie's moment on the set wasn't just his. It became a heartbeat that echoed through every frame of The Chosen, changing the cast, the crew, and millions watching around the world. His encounter with something beyond himself breathed life into the role of Jesus in a way few could have imagined. The Chosen is what happens when stories are told from the soul, with honesty, reverence, and love. These stories don't just entertain, they awaken. And in a world hungry for something real, that makes all the difference. Want more stories like this? Like, comment, and share to keep the journey going.